This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 13th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. NAACP backed marijuana federalism from Forbes.com. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, recently endorsed a bill that would make the federal ban on marijuana inapplicable to people who grow, possess, or distribute cannabis in compliance with state law. H.R. 1523, the Respect State Marijuana Laws Act of 2013, would essentially repeal or at least limit federal pot prohibition in the 21 states that allow medical or recreational use of the drug. So far, the bill, which was introduced by Representative Dana Rohrabacher, Republican of California, has 20 co-sponsors, including 5 more Republicans: Justin Amash of Michigan, Dan Benishek of Michigan, Don Young of Alaska, Duncan Hunter of California, and Steve Stockman of Texas. The NAACP, which in recent years has highlighted the racially disproportionate impact of marijuana prohibition and condemned the war on drugs, last year supported the successful legalization initiatives in Colorado and Washington. Denver Council's new bill on marijuana smoking says front yards are okay, from DenverPost.com. Denver residents would be allowed to smoke marijuana on their properties, even their front lawns, under a new set of rules given preliminary approval Tuesday. Denver City Council has been grappling with how to define open and public consumption, finally reaching agreement on where people can legally consume the drug that in January will be sold to adults in retail stores. The upshot? Consumption is illegal everywhere unless on private property that you own, lease, or rent, or have been given approval to consume by the owner. The bill also would ban display or distribution of marijuana on the 16th Street Mall or streets around it and in city parks. And it would make any violation of the law non-criminal, setting the penalties at $150 for the first offense, $500 for the second offense, and $999 for 3 or more violations. Panel discusses medical marijuana options for Iowa, from the WCFcourier.com. Whether medical marijuana is right for Iowa was the topic of a public forum held at the Waterloo Public Library by Cedar Valley Citizens for Undoing Racism. A crowd of more than 50 people gathered to hear panelists Ronald Flory, a retired family doctor, Chris Hoffman, executive director of Pathways Behavioral Sciences, Inc., and William Downs, a professor of social work at the University of Northern Iowa. All on the panel agreed that if medical marijuana were made legal, it should be treated like any prescription drug, obtained through a doctor's consent. Democrat Senator Bill Dotzler of Waterloo rose from the back of the room to voice his support behind legalization for medical marijuana use. But he said with the current split-party makeup in the State House, that's unlikely to happen. Last year, he supported a medical marijuana bill after his friend, who died of cancer, found some relief from the substance. But, Dotzler said, the best way to spur medical marijuana legislation along is the public sharing of personal stories by posts to local legislators, telling their story. This is how we're going to win this movement, he said. Medical marijuana could be sold in pharmacies under bill approved by Michigan Senate, from MichiganLive.com. Republicans in the Michigan Senate on Wednesday approved a measure seeking to create a pharmaceutical-grade cannabis registry that would run alongside, but not replace, the patient-caregiver medical marijuana model approved by voters in 2008. Senate Bill 660, introduced by State Senator Roger Kahn, Republican of Saginaw Township, is entirely dependent on the federal government reclassifying marijuana as a Schedule II drug, similar to OxyContin or Percocet. Without federal approval, the new system would exist only on paper. Individuals certified to use medical marijuana would have to give up their old cards if they want to qualify for the new registry and would no longer be allowed to grow their own plants. State marijuana stores could be open by May or June, from Columbian.com. Neighborhood marijuana stores could open across Washington state as early as May or June, according to state officials who on Monday will launch the licensing process to legalize pot growers, processors, and sellers in response to voter-approved Initiative 502, which passed last November. A lottery that kicks in after the application window closes will decide which applicants will be allowed to sell pot if the state receives more than 334 applications statewide. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 13th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines of a new Huffington Post YouGov poll on employment rights for marijuana smokers in the 2 legal marijuana states. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. Hey, Toker.